If you've been following kind of the indie circles over the last few months, you've no doubt heard of Cruelty Squad, a kind of first-person fever dream immersive sim crazy experience that has taken kind of the indie space by storm. But having played it on stream very recently, I'm kind of left wondering if this is like a Emperor's New Clothes situation, and whether or not weirdness for the sake of weirdness truly works. But the basic, I should say, story is that we work for the company or corporation Cruelty Squad, and we are tasked with performing assassinations on increasingly weird and bizarre situations and people. So, the concept is that each level it takes place in what appears to be we're trapped in the early PlayStation 1 3DO era of first-person shooters, and we have to kill a target or targets. Standing in our way are all kinds of people, possibly people, and just trying to avoid taking damage. So, as you can probably tell by the visuals and just general gameplay that you're seeing, that this is one of those games that is most certainly of the indie variety. And a lot of what this game does, it doesn't really, I think, explain to the player. It is one of those games where the basics, as in you're moving around, shooting, killing enemies, is very apparent. But things such as having a stock market, an organ trading market, as well as being able to enhance your character with modifiers, are kept very mysterious. And a lot of people have been describing this game very much like Prey or Deus Ex as an immersive sim, with the variety of powers and different modifiers you can get for your character. But I would argue that is a very far stretched to make for that kind of comparison. You see, a lot of this game really does, I think, lend itself to that same kind of emergent behavior, and again, that immersive sim aspect that we've seen from some of the heights of the genre. And I think a lot of that kind of stems from the actual level design. Every level is built very wide, but there really isn't that sense of exploration. Guides and fans have hinted that there are secret paths or secret levels and weapons and stuff you can find, but the world itself is so vacant that it's very hard to kind of motivate you to explore it for all of its secrets. And it is one of those games that I feel that a lot of the talk surrounding it is more about the look of it as opposed to the actual play. And it's one of those games I think is kind of hard to review because of it. Because if you review this strictly on the presentation and, the weirdness, then Cruelty Squad is definitely one of the more unique games this year. But underneath that surface, we really just have a bare bones FPS. Like, I didn't really see anything that I haven't already seen before from the genre, or even just from the mechanics. And having played games like Deus Ex, Prey, Dishonored, and so on, where both the level design and the mechanics are kind of synergized to create that sense of exploration and depth, Cruelty Squad just kind of falls below that mark. And I guess that takes us to the big question: is this a fun game to play? And again, it's a very tough question to answer, considering just how much hype and fandom has been built around this kind of style and design. And I'm going to try and answer that next. But first, we're going to take a quick break, and as always, if you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, be sure to check out my latest offering of books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with horror coming by the end of 2021. So the big question with Cruelty Squad is this a good game or not? And for me, I just found this to be very disappointing from a design perspective. This is one of those games where it seems to do everything within its power not to make you want to play it. And I know that's a very weird thing to say. Typically, good game design invites the player into the world and makes you want to explore, every inch, do everything that you can here. But with Cruelty Squad, it's very much a game that it's kind of weird for the sake of weird. And it's like this kind of design reminds me a little bit of the complaints from the show Legion that started with the second season, where they would throw very weird and abstracted concepts and then would just forget about them, or they had no basis on the plot. And that is kind of where I think Cruelty Squad lies. That it's a very weird and strange world, but at the end of the day, it's still just a very standard FPS. And the arguments about this being an immersive sim and things like that are just woefully, I think, misrepresented. Because the world itself doesn't really, set itself up for some of the crazy interactions that we see from games that go for the immersive sim design, whether it's Breath of the Wild, Dishonored, Prey, and so on. Now, I keep reading reviews about this game saying there's, this ridiculous depth and hidden levels and crazy weapons and stuff like that. But we played this for about an hour and a half on stream and I was not seeing any of that. And granted, secret levels are secret for a reason. But the player needs to be given, a carrot on the stick to follow. There has to be a trail for the weirdness. Just telling me that every level is super deep and there's all this stuff to explore, but there's no even idea about or even any hints in this game that I could find. It's just fluff. And I feel Cruelty Squad, again, is one of those games that a lot of people are overhyping for the weirdness or for the weird for the sake of being weird. But without any kind of glue connected to that, it's just very hard to keep me or keep somebody invested in this game. As an example, the border that you see around actually is a representation of your quote-unquote class in the game, but there's no feedback or no explanation about what that does or what that means in game. Right now, I am apparently soft locked, and I don't know, why that is. And there is probably hidden depth to Cruelty Squad, but depth without any, measurement or any way to actually explore it, it's just complexity. And I feel like there is a better game here that is not being fully represented by Cruelty Squad. And I'm curious what people think about this game, and I think your overall opinion, and I'm sure what the comments I'm going to get, are going to be dependent on just how far down the rabbit hole did you dive while you played this game. And if you have nothing else to play and you're just looking for, this surrealistic mystery to focus 100% of your attention on, then there's probably something really great here for Cruelty Squad. But again, it is pretty much one of the textbook examples of an indie game that just goes out of its way to, I think, be as unwelcoming as it can, that it forces you to find the enjoyment instead of presenting you with something that can be easily consumed and easily enjoyed. And before anyone tries to leave a comment saying that I don't like this game because I don't like strange games, we played and beat in both Helix 1 and 2. And that is beyond in terms of surrealism when it comes to games. But with Cruelty Squad, I just found it to be just, noise when it came to its weirdness. And I was hoping really for a lot more to explore and just have that really factor in the gameplay as opposed to just being kind of the table setting around the experience. So with that said, we're going to wrap up this look here. Let me know what you think, again, of Cruelty Squad. For those of you who played it longer, whether you liked it or disliked the game. Because it is such a very interesting kind of design to make a game, purposely with this kind of look and feel to it. If you're new, be sure to check out the Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where they are in science of games. Once again, this has been Cruelty Squad, and until next time, take care.